Carleton Place Town Hall was opened in 1897 and has received heritage designation for both its architectural and historic value. In 1982, the town and the Heritage Foundation entered into an easement agreement on the building, which ensures that specific heritage elements of the building will be maintained and cannot be changed or removed without approval from the foundation. These include several elements within the town hall's auditorium, such as the stairways which lead to the auditorium and to the balcony, the hall at the top of the main stairs, and the entire auditorium, including the balcony and stage. As you enter the building through the large doors on Mill Street, you are greeted by the main entrance hall and grand staircase. The space is marked by its deep wainscoting, rectangular wooden paneling, and a balustrade that leads up the staircase towards the auditorium, all of which are made from black ash. At the top of the stairs is the second-floor stair hall with public bathrooms, large auditorium entrance doors, and a narrow staircase that leads up to the auditorium's balcony. These are the only stairs which lead up to the balcony, which is why it is no longer in use for the general public. The balcony now instead houses storage, a production booth, spotlights, and lighting and sound equipment. The balcony balustrade is made of carved pine with oak decoration and is made up of repeated rectangular sections, and the balcony is supported by 3 decorative columns. In the 1980s, before the balcony was closed to the public, the auditorium and balcony together could accommodate a total of 500 to 550 people. And according to an article written in the Ottawa Journal in 1897, this hall could also once hold up to 1,000 people. The auditorium features maple flooring, salmon and pale green walls, further pine wainscoting around the perimeter of the room and the edge of the main stage, a high arched ceiling of pressed metal, and a proscenium stage that is raked. The stage is one historically significant element of the auditorium. The stage has a proscenium arch, which is 20 feet wide and 24 feet high, and a raked stage. A raked stage is one that is built on an angle so that the back of the stage has a higher elevation than the front of the stage, or the apron. This style of stage was popular during the Elizabethan era, and again during the 19th century. It allowed the audience sitting on a flat floor to see the performers more effectively. An article in the Ottawa Journal from August 1897, before the hall was officially open, describes the auditorium as fairly modern and explaining that there is a large stage, 60 by 30 feet, and slanting, which is in accordance with the latest views on theatrical architecture. It is now more popular to rake the audience seating rather than the stage, so this is one of few remaining raked stages in Canada. The stage also once had a fly tower, which is a space above the stage that houses the counterweight system. This system would use pulleys to hoist lighting and scenery up and out of the view of the audience. The fly tower itself is still in place and can be seen behind a half wall in the auditorium attic, but is no longer in working condition. The stage also had wings, which refers to the space behind sets of curtains at the sides of the stage called legs, which would hide performers from view. The auditorium originally had collapsible wooden seating that could be stacked along the side walls when not in use, but they were later replaced because they were difficult to move and were not very comfortable for long periods of time. The auditorium underwent renovations in the 1980s and in the 1990s, during which the auditorium gained a few new elements and lost a few others. Additions included dressing rooms added in the attic above the auditorium, public washrooms added to the second-floor stair hall where the Chamber of Commerce had been located. Previously, the only bathrooms available were backstage, which was difficult for audiences during performances. And an elevator was also added in the late 1990s in order to make the building more accessible. In the early to mid-1990s, a volunteer named Hugh Hopkin paid for and painted the walls of the auditorium with the help of friends and volunteers who were inspired by his work. At the request of the Heritage Society, and based on a paint sample study, the colors were changed from variations of off-white to the current salmon and pale green. New chairs were also purchased and donated by the IODE and other local volunteers. Beyond its architectural significance, the Town Hall Auditorium is also an important part of Carleton Place's social history. An article in the Ottawa Journal details that the auditorium is where public gatherings are held, and the town will rent it out for concerts and to different theatrical companies. It was as true then as it is now. On October 25, 1897, the town held a grand opening concert. The Citizens Band played outside for half an hour before the event, while the Wallwork Orchestra played in the hall. Performances included singers from Ottawa and Toronto, as well as one local performer, Mr. A.B. Peden. A group of women called Major McKay's Company of 23 Young Ladies performed an artistic march and sword drill. An article in the Canadian at the time of the event described the new town hall as a paradise of architectural creation, and said that during the event, when the audience was bathed in a flood of incandescence, the effect was indescribably charming. On November 24th of that year, the town hosted the inaugural ball in the auditorium to commemorate the opening of the new town hall. One article written shortly after the event describes how the stage was converted into a parlor, decorated with plants and flowers, carpeted with rugs and Brussels, and handsomely furnished, while the balcony was used to house the Guards Band Orchestra. Dance cards from that evening show that the waltz, polka, deux temps, military, jersey, and more dances were all a part of the night's program. Over 200 people from Carleton Place and other neighboring towns attended the ball dressed in bright apparel, and it was considered the social event of the season. For a time, movie matinees and evening showings were held in the hall as well. In 1960, admission to the matinee would cost 25 cents, while the evening feature cost 50 cents. In 1973, the Mississippi Muds Theater Group was founded and continues to call the Town Hall Auditorium their home, producing as many as 4 shows a year in their more recent seasons. Today, the auditorium continues to be used for performances of all kinds. The space also plays host to countless fundraising dinners, workshops, private parties, and even town council meetings when a large audience is expected. If these walls could talk, oh, the stories they could tell.